Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly trophy list updates, or Trophy Talk Tuesday, I believe is what it's now called. Anyway, today's date is Tuesday, February the 25th of 2025, so this will have covered the week of February the 18th through the 24th of 2025. This was a reasonably productive week overall, no major complaints here. Got a platinum trophy or two, got some progress in other games. As a couple of other quick notes on other games, though, Astrobot has now released 2 of its 5 levels, I believe it is. I think it's exactly 2 of them. Yep, 2 of them have released, so still 3 more of those, 3 more weeks until that's all ready to go. Minecraft keeps getting a lot of updates, but I haven't seen any new trophies pop up, so I guess that's a good thing. Power Wash Simulator should be getting its DLC in the next week or two. And also Fallout 76, though it's not getting any sort of DLC trophies or anything. I believe that it is currently Fosnacht, which is a major event within the game that brings everyone together to celebrate. It's always been a great event ever since like 2019, whenever it first started. Doesn't have any trophies or anything, but I'll definitely be logging on to that at a few points just to mess around with it, see what new rewards and stuff there are, see what's changed in the game in the last like 8 months since I played it. So in terms of actual trophy progress, we will start out with the PS5 version of Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So all of the DLC was done several weeks back, so nothing more to mention with those. But the Platinum Trophy was not finished until this past week. So, of course, you have your level 40 trophies, so you just have to reach level 40. All of these trophies auto-pop if you carry over your save. Level 40 isn't particularly hard. You'll get there while doing pretty much everything else in the game if you're playing normally. You also get 10 unmissable story trophies, but they also auto-pop, which is great. Then you get this side mission trophy. This one actually does auto-pop for some reason. I don't know why this is the only one that does. But the other ones do not, so I don't really know why that is, but these are early side missions. Then you have this one, which is in that Tangle Drift, or whatever it is, Jack and the Beanstalk looking level. This one's in one of the pirate levels. And then the very last trophy I got was for completing the Ditcher, so this is another side quest. And these are generally some of the game's longer side quests, but this one I don't remember being quite as horrendous as some of the others. So you do have to complete all 48 side quests in the game. Thankfully, these 2 trophies auto-pop, because completing every single side quest again would have been absolutely miserable. Because again, there's 48 of them, and a lot of them take absolutely forever, and just drag on and on and on, with long bits of dialogue, and just running around doing stupid stuff repeatedly. It's not a good time, not a fun time in the slightest. The Revive a Partner auto-pops, but it's also very easy, you can do it with 2 controllers. This one, of course, is pretty easy. I actually just went ahead and knocked it out early on the PS4 version, but you should get this one naturally just by playing and it auto-pops. This one also auto-pops. You just have to get an orange tier item that's enchanted out in the wild, which you'll probably find naturally just by playing through the game. You have to have 100,000 and 1 million gold. Neither of these trophies are particularly hard. You can also have someone just drop you the money, which is what Robbie did for me, which was great. Though I didn't need it as much in this game in particular because of the inventory upgrades auto-popping. So thankfully those insanely grindy trophies that require, hundreds of millions of gold, both of these auto-popped, thankfully. Trading with another player is self-explanatory, plus you can do it with 2 controllers if needed. The cosmetic item, this is one of the first trophies you'll get if you're playing normally. Then the 3000 Loot Luck. This trophy was really, really obnoxious on this version, because for some reason it popped when I joined someone else's game on the PS4 version, but it didn't work for a while here on the PS5 version for some reason. But then, once I had replayed the entire story, which required me to also complete a whole bunch of side quests, so I ended up completing a large chunk of the game a second time, I was able to jump into someone's game when my loot luck was maybe close to 2,000, and then it popped, so I legitimately have no idea what goes on with this trophy. I think it's just a broken mess and has been since it released. But I don't think this one auto-pops for anyone. The lore scrolls, you can find them all over the place, including in the overworld. This one's very easy to get normally. This one you can't do until you finish the story, but it auto-popped. Then the dungeon doors, there's 7 specific ones you have to clear. They're not particularly hard, they're just basically a few waves of enemies. This one I think you just hit square while someone's following you in the overworld to get it pretty easily. The 10 encampments in the overworld, this one is slightly grindy, but encampments are usually only 1 wave of enemies, so it's nothing too bad. And then you have the Chaos Chamber, which you guys know my thoughts on the Chaos Chamber from the PS4 version of the game and all the complete BS-ery that was occurring, especially on the later levels of it. But thankfully, all 3 trophies auto-popped, so I didn't have to worry about this mode ever again. Hopefully it's not in the next Borderlands game. As for the DLCs, as I've mentioned before, for whatever reason the higher difficulty trophies all auto-popped, but none of the lower difficulty trophies did, which is a really, really weird issue to have. But honestly, it's not that big of an issue because I would rather that happen. If it's going to auto-pop them, I'd rather it auto-pop the harder ones. Because this meant I just had to go back and replay each boss fight, one more time, or run through each of these DLCs one time on the lowest difficulty, which wasn't too bad at all. But basically, these are just more like Chaos Chambers. They're like 5 or 6 sort of waves of enemies in different locations and then a boss. And there's other rules to it along with that. They're kind of annoying to do, so you might want to go into these with a partner if you have a good partner, because that's definitely going to potentially make it easier just because you can go down very easily and you have a limited number of lives, and if you lose all of them, you have to restart the whole thing. Same with the Chaos Chamber itself. Or actually, no, I think in these DLCs, it might be that if you both die, you just have to restart the whole thing or something. That might actually be what this was, because I know that in Chaos Chamber you could die because you got like 3 lives. So that actually might have been what these DLCs were, that if you go down at all, you just have to restart them, which is really annoying. But yeah, that's Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. It is finally 100% complete on both versions. That's another Borderlands game checked off the list. And it has kind of ruined a lot of my perception of the Borderlands franchise because this game was just awful. And I really, really hope they do better with Borderlands 4, even though I'm definitely not buying it day one because I don't really trust it after experiencing this game twice. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Wonderlands. Definitely one of the worst Borderlands games. I mean, it's no Tales from the Borderlands 2, so more Tales from the Borderlands or whatever that one's called. Not talking about the original one. The original Telltale one's fantastic. It's one of my favorite Telltale games. But I'm talking about that other one that came out that was like more Tales from the Borderlands that everyone universally hates. But I still gotta do that at some point because it has Borderlands in the title and it's listed in the Borderlands trophy lists on PSN Profiles. Wonderful. Next up, Sly 2 Band of Thieves for the PS5, Platinum and 100% complete. This game was an absolute blast from the past. Sly 2 is my personal favorite of the Sly Cooper games. I don't know if that's a super, common belief, but this one is personally my favorite of the 3, or of the 4, I guess if you count the 4th one, but of the old school ones, it's definitely my favorite. And it's also probably the easiest of the new Sly Cooper trophy lists overall, because yes, it involves some new miscellaneous trophies and more collectibles you have to find, but with the rewind feature, it just makes a lot of stuff way, way easier than it would have been. Now, on the original version for the PS3, I believe all you had to do for the Platinum was complete the game, find all the clue bottles and open the vault on only one area, which you could easily do in the first area, and you had to sell a bunch of treasures enough to be able to purchase all the items, but I don't think there were any other miscellaneous trophies or anything. So that version was also pretty easy. Now Sly 1's new version does include some new stuff that's going to be trickier, as does Sly, or actually no, I don't know if Sly 3's new version includes anything that's going to be all that much more difficult, because you're going to have the rewind feature to work with the challenges, which is going to be kind of nice because that game already doesn't have collectibles. So anyway, for the Platinum, you're going to have to find all the clue bottles and open the vault and complete all the jobs in each of the game's 8 episodes. That's a vast majority of your trophy list. Then along with that, you're going to start getting 1 or 2 miscellaneous trophies per episode. So this one you just get by breaking some things during one of the story missions in episode 1, but you can also go back in there later and do it again if you miss it. No trophies are missable in this game, thankfully, even though you can't replay the story missions because all the areas are still accessible even after finishing the missions. The 10 cash briefcases, this is super easy. There's a bunch of them that spawn sort of near that outdoor area that you can explore, so nothing much to worry about with this. Then you have 2 from episode 2, so the guard to the safe house is a little bit tough because you have to get them lifted up a couple of ledges as Murray, but it's not too bad. You just have to get sort of the correct angle and the correct spot for it. This one you can't do until you're in episode 6 because that's when you unlock the hover pack. Once you get the hover pack, you can get this trophy, but you just can't get it before that. Unless there's a glitch method or something, which there might be, because I think some of the old glitches do carry over from the PS2 era. 10 unique cash briefcases in episode 3 isn't too bad because there's like maybe 11 total of them, but they're in 3 different places. They're a little bit trickier to get to, so you might want to look at a guide for these. Then this one's actually very easy. Just toward the end of this episode, you gain access to a tower turret, which you can use just to kill a few enemies, so nothing much to worry about there. One for episode 4, so use these 3 items on the same guard in episode 4. Nothing too bad, except I don't think you get everything until either episode 5 or maybe even episode 6 is when you get the last item, so you just can't do it right then. This one, you have to go to a very specific place and look in a very specific spot using the Binocucom. This one was a little bit trickier for me on this version than it was on the PS4 version that I'm now playing, but I did eventually get it. This one was pretty annoying because it's very, very finicky with what you have to do. You pretty much have to throw out an alarm clock in the correct place, and then immediately follow that up with the Rage Bomb, and then hope the enemies actually kill each other without ever detecting you. Definitely finicky, definitely requires a bit of luck, but I eventually got it. It took way too long, though, on this version. I got it on like 2 tries on the PS4 version, though. Then in episode 6, you have to defeat a bear without taking damage as Murray, which is quite challenging to do even with the rewind feature, just because the bears have a lot of health. This one's pretty easy. The music box is one of the items you either purchase or collect from a vault and just throw it at Carmelita. Very simple. This one's very easy. There's tons of outhouses you can destroy in this area, and then the metal eggs are also super easy. There's plenty of them all over the sort of airship area. Then you have 1 miscellaneous trophy for each of our 3 characters, so Murray's trophy is super easy because Fist of Flame is basically a one-shot on most enemies. Shrinking 4 guards at once, this one's actually best done in the same place that you get that episode 5 trophy as Sly, this one. So that's actually a very good place to do it. And then pickpocket 5 pieces of loot without being detected. This one's very easily done in the very first area of the game, the Paris area, because the enemies are more spread out and more of them tend to have treasures. Then you have to obtain all the power-ups, which means purchase everything from ThiefNet. There's maybe about 25 or so items in the game, but you should have more than enough money this time around, mostly because of this trophy, which is probably the most difficult one in the game. You have to sell 50 different unique pieces of loot, and I think there's only about 55 of them total in the game. Now, some of them are the treasures you can bring back to the safe house across each area. I think there's like 3 per area, so 24 of them can come from that. So those are the ones that are sometimes booby-trapped. You have to get them back in a short period of time. So that's where you can get about half of your pieces. The other ones you're going to have to loot, which is complete RNG, because you never know what the enemies are going to have. Like, they carry certain items in certain areas, but certain ones are a little bit harder to find than others. So you do get just a little bit of leeway on it, but it's definitely, I would say, the most difficult of the trophies in the game, even though it's not really all that difficult, just a little more RNG heavy, time consuming. So yeah, that was Sly 2 on the PS5. This game was so much fun to play, had a great time going through it. It was a great experience for Platinum. I'm also now working on the PS4 version, and there is going to be a trophy video that's going to be like all the modern Sly games in a single video, so all 6 Platinums. So far on the PS4 version of the game, I have completed everything in the first 5 episodes. I just got started on episode 6. Then I did all the miscellaneous trophies in each area, so made good progress on all of that. Just haven't done any of the ones in episode 6 yet, but like I said, I had an easier time with both of these episode 5 trophies this time. And then along with that, I got Murray's trophy and Sly's trophy. I haven't gone back for Bentley's trophy yet. I think I still need to get maybe one other item before I can officially do it, but nothing much to worry about. And then I've sold every piece of loot I've come across, but definitely there have been a few that have been a little bit tougher to find this time, so we'll see how much of a grind that ends up being. So yeah, Sly 2 is going quite well, having a great time with it, and then we go to Sly 1, which I have gotten started on. Sly 1 is by far the shortest of the Sly Cooper Platinums, and initially it was probably the easiest one on the PS3 versions. This time around it's definitely not as easy, but it's still pretty short. So what you have to do is, I haven't gotten that good of a look at this trophy list, but it looks like you have to complete all jobs, open all vaults, and defeat the boss in each of the areas. I think there's 5 total areas, so that's, let's see, Vicious Voodoo's Area 3, Fire in the Skies Area 4, and then 2 for Clockwork, so that's the final level. So there's only about 20 vaults in this game, and the clue bottles are usually pretty easy to find, especially with the rewind feature. Just remember that in this game, unlike in the later Sly games, you can only take 1 hit before you die unless you have one of the horseshoes available, so you do have to be just a little bit more careful with your health. Then we get to a bunch of miscellaneous trophies, so that's where things are going to be a little bit trickier because unlike the original version of this game, where I think it was just like 100% the game, but don't worry about the Master Thief challenges, you just had to do all the vaults, all the levels, all the clue bottles, and I think that was it. So this time around, you actually have to do miscellaneous things in most levels. So a stealthy approach is like the first mission of the game after the prologue, destroy 4 signs. That one's actually very easy though. Fire down below without grabbing any hooks. I had to go back to do. It wasn't too terribly difficult, but it did require a little bit more platforming. This one also required a bit more platforming, but I think I found sort of a way to get through it once you get the dive roll ability. That helps a lot. Then this one, I think this one took a couple of tries as well. You just had to climb up to the very top of the beached pirate ship and then make a perfect jump over to another area. So then we have all of these from the next area. So yeah, I'm assuming that these 4 are for the next area, and then these 4 are for episode 3. Or actually, no, maybe not. Maybe like 1 or 2 for each episode, because it looks like there's not a ton of miscellaneous. Oh wait, no, there are more down here. Those are definitely area 4, as is that. This one, I guess, can be done anywhere. Then that one, I guess, can also be done anywhere. And then these are different abilities that I think you unlock from the vaults. This one, I'm assuming, is a story trophy toward the end of the game, if it's what I'm thinking it is. So, for the most part, it's just level-specific miscellaneous trophies and finding all the clue bottles in vaults and stuff. But then there's also this trophy down here, which is by far the hardest one in the game, the Master Thief Sprints. So these are basically time trials, and you have to complete them for any 10 levels. I think there's maybe 20 levels where you can do this. And apparently they're quite challenging. Apparently some of them have very, very, very tight time limits on them. Now, Ghost and Killer both have done this already, and they got through it after a while, but it was apparently kind of annoying. But I guess, thankfully, the one thing is we don't have to do every single one of them, so it means I can do some of the easier ones at least, so probably like earlier ones. And I don't think you can really do these until you have all the abilities, because they can be used to help speedrun certain things, and you might have to use even like old exploits and stuff from like the PS2 era to be able to get through some of them more easily. But yeah, so far everything in episode 1 is clear. This game, I guess, only has 5 episodes, so probably 2 more streams to finish off this game, which won't be too bad. And yeah, that is it for actual progress, so let's go ahead and sync up. Alright, level 889, 46%, 29,891 total trophies, 857 platinums, 5,713 golds, 8,045 silvers, 15,276 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. Definitely going to be playing some more of Sly 1, hopefully get through that game this week on a couple more streams. And I'm also going to be playing some of Fallout 76. That won't be on stream though, that'll just be on my own time to play the new Fosnoct events. Now, along with those, I did start the 2-part Black Ops 3 handgun only Mike Banning playthrough on Sunday. One more stream to finish that off because there's only 5 missions left, so nothing much to worry about there. If you don't really enjoy it, it's only going to be one more stream, so nothing much to worry. And then, of course, just the working on Sly Cooper is the main thing. I can also start on the PS4 version of it sometime fairly soon. Now, along with those, the Thrillville video is coming along quite well. The entire first portion of it, where I went for the platinum, but some of the trophies bugged out on me, that whole area is done, so I just got to figure out exactly how I'm going to edit together the speedrun portion of it, but definitely made good progress on that, and just need to make a thumbnail in the end and all. And then after that will be the Astro's Playroom video, which shouldn't be too bad, because it's only 2 or 3 streams to get through. And then after that, I don't know which one's going to come next. Maybe the Clock Tower speedrun, maybe the Dead Rising 2 off the record. I don't know yet, but we will figure that out in the eventual future. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. Let me know down in the comments what you guys have been working on this past week. Schedule should be pretty normal this week, but I am going to be presumably starting my new job next Monday, so I don't know how that's going to interfere with the schedule, because sometimes the hours might be a little bit weird, so we'll have to see about that. But that's a problem for next week's update. So, thank y'all for watching. See y'all back here later this week for some more trophy content.